Hello, Constitution buffs. Got another Constitution video for you. If you haven't picked up a copy, get a copy of your Constitution. If you haven't been there yet, I've got a link to pick up a Constitution copy on my website, dancoxonline.com. Anyway, today we're going to cover a little bit about the Standing Army and the Second Amendment. The two of them really kind of work closely together. I've got some questions about the assertion that I made that the Standing Army is actually illegal under the Constitution. So I wanted to go over a few of those little pieces with you. Where I get that is from Article 1, Section 8. And within Article 1, Section 8, it has some very specific details regarding the armed forces and Congress's powers to fund them. So we'll go ahead and start with that. Article 1, Section 8, it says, this is about halfway through, it says, to raise and support armies, but no appropriation of money to that use shall be for a longer term than 2 years. Most people think that what that means is that every 2 years, or as long as the money is not appropriated for a period of longer than 2 years, then it's okay to fund the Army. It just has to be done, in that period, less than 2 years. Okay? But in order to clarify that, there's another line that comes after that, which says to provide and maintain a Navy. There's no restriction at all on funding the Navy. No amount of money or time period or anything like that. The Navy's just there. And that's one clue that you have that the Army, the Standing Army, is illegal. Then again, it goes further down. It says to provide for calling forth the militia to execute the laws of the Union, suppress insurrections, and repel invasions. Okay, to provide for calling forth the militia. There is no army, so they call forth the militia to create an army when it's needed to execute the laws of the Union, suppress insurrections, and repel invasions. That's all that it's in. That's all that it's there to do. To provide for organizing, arming, and disciplining the militia, and governing such part of them as may be employed in the service of the United States, reserving to the states, respectively, the appointment of the officers. Anyway, for that part right there, what they're talking about is that the militia is brought up into the Army, and then when it's no longer needed, it's disbanded. So there again, that goes right back to that part where we're talking about the appropriation of money for a period of no longer than 2 years. So it is really important to understand that. Additionally, it's important to understand, we always talk about the president as being the commander-in-chief. Well, the Constitution has a little proviso about that as far as his powers as the commander-in-chief. In Article 2, Section 2, it says, the President shall be the Commander-in-Chief of the Army and Navy of the United States and of the militia of the several states when called into the actual service of the United States. Until that point, he doesn't have an authority. They remain under the control of Congress. The Army, the Navy, the militia. Okay? And the Army's only there when the militia is called up. Otherwise, it's disbanded. We don't have a standing Army. And once again, that's an important thing, not only to remember about the powers that have been granted and withheld to the government, but it's also important to understand that for further clarification of the Second Amendment, and where the clarification of that really resides is in Article 1, Section 8, because the militia is the source of the Army. It's not just some kind of, people need to have arms to defend or to protect themselves against the government. Yes. The other part of that is to defend the country. Because with an armed populace, the United States would have the largest army in the world, if we don't already. The largest army in the world, because no other government in the world is required, like ours is, to have an armed populace. We're required to do that. The militia is something that is required to be maintained by all the states. Anyway, we'll get into that into a lot more detail. Look forward to your comments, and I'll have another video for you soon. Thanks.